I'm just pressing.
There you are. We are live. Yeah.
Woohoo!
You can do the countdown and then press live right after that so they
Oh,
can
okay.
go concurrently. Hi everybody.
Well, hey everybody. Welcome to Artists and Oracles. I'm Donna and I'm here with my Go Live mentor Gerald, and we're sorry we're a little late. We had major technical difficulties, but let's hope
Eh,
they are done for.
they are.
So, thanks for joining us everyone. I'm excited to be
Yeah.
here chatting with Gerald today.
I'm glad to
Um,
be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for agreeing to do this. So, just to let everybody know, this is going to be an ongoing series of interviews on my channel. I really want to talk to lots of folks, anybody out there in the tarot sphere, as well as artists, talk about how these two paths of being an artist and being an oracle overlap and mixed together. And so I'm kicking it off with Gerald, who
Aw.
walks both of these paths. So what a great way to start. So
And I'm showing the notice just popped. So the notice just
okay,
posted. So
excellent. So we should
yeah.
be good. And we've got a couple
Mm-hmm.
people in the house. So say hello to Toadstool Tarot. That's Robin.
Uh-huh.
Hello, Robin. Welcome. And Jedek is here. That's JD.
Yay.
And we also have Purple Elephant, Deb H. Hi, Deb.
Hi Deb.
So welcome, everybody.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Gerald, let's dive right in. I
Okay.
have a bunch of questions to ask you. So, he's been sent his questions ahead of time, so he is
This
prepared.
is a good host that you are. So,
So, hopefully, I won't veer off script too much. But
that's all right. I'm flexible.
so, I've kind of answered the first question already. The first question is, are you an artist? Are you an oracle? Are you both? So, tell us about that. Like what I really want to know from you is which came first, the artist or the oracle part? Do you know?
The artist, the artist part came first because I remember for a long time as a child being creative, drawing pictures, and it wasn't until I would get these intuitive flashes of things for oh geez, as long as I can remember. So, but I think being an artist really set the groundwork for because for those of us who have made art or we get into the creative flow of anything, we understand how when we're in that flow, things just sort of happen. And when you go with it and you work at it, amazing things can happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's so I would say first an artist.
First an artist. And
Hmm.
then when did the intuitive part come in for you? Like what stage of life, or and was it cards first, or was it something more general or a different flavor?
It was when I was in college. I had a friend. I was with her when she bought her first tarot cards. I had never really worked with tarot cards or seen tarot cards until I was in. Well, I never considered using them because they were just mystical and just sort of intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
But I never held any in my hand. So that hit when I was in college. I have always been a curious one, especially when it comes to spirituality and energy and deity, divine, God, goddess, whatever you want to call it. And it just sort of, and fortunately, my mother answered a lot of questions because at one point and I've told the story somewhere else, but I was probably in junior high school and I was, there's all of these different religions, and how can there be so many different spiritual paths?
Mm.
There's got to be something in common with them. And she's like, well, read up on them. to go to the library and get some books. So,
Good answer,
which was,
Mom.
yeah. And so she let me, you know, do some of that. I didn't really dive into it a whole lot, but I got enough to be curiously dangerous. So,
Which is a great thing.
yeah.
Interesting. That's the same for me. I had no experience, no run-ins with tarot oracle cards until college. That's
Hmm.
really when it came in for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when
Yeah.
the spiritual world began to kind of open up, and I realized, oh my gosh, there's more than, you know, three or four religions out there to
Yeah.
be curious about.
And I did a lot of different things because back in high school we would do these. I was involved with Catholicism, and we had youth activities, and we'd do these youth retreats. And I was always one to get creative with a program rather than just get up there and talk. I would have some sort of props with me. I would make a visual impact. So I think the symbology was something that I was always curious about,
Mm,
in especially with different religions. It's like, what does that mean? And so, and
yeah.
I still do that today. I'm very Symbols are extremely important. They hold a lot of power and a whole lot of energy and a whole lot of history. So
Yeah, for sure.
definitely,
Awesome. Okay, so
definitely.
the visual arts came first, then college came the cards,
Mhm.
and spiritual curiosity came in there somewhere too.
Yes, and while I was in college, I was doing artwork. I was the I was one of those kids. I think you and I had talked about this before. I majored in fine arts. I have a bachelor's in fine arts, and I did drawing, printmaking, painting, and sculpture.
Mm,
So they didn't interweave well. So if I had an idea, I just went with the medium that worked for it.
mm,
And so my sculptures were very spiritual.
mm.
And I had sculptures that were based on the idea of, now I would call it the Akashic Records.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know what it was before. I just knew that there was some way of records, and I had made a whole lot of raku pieces, pottery pieces, and I put them together, and they were many of them were interactive. So,
Wow.
yeah. I veered
Awesome.
off on your question.
No, no, it's good. So
So,
now, and I know you've done some theater.
hmm
So when did that come in? Was that a college thing or earlier, or was that
oh,
after college or?
it was after college, and actually needed, a friend of mine was working with a director and on the play Little Women, and she wanted the Little Women to be able to knit, and I knew how to knit, so she invited me and asked me to come and teach the Little Women how to knit so that they could knit properly on stage. And then her next production, I think, was The Magician's Nephew, and she asked me if I would be willing to do props for that, and that was a good 12, 13 years ago.
Wow.
So that was much
Nice.
later, much
Yeah,
later.
okay. Very
So
fun.
yeah,
Very fun.
yeah. So
Okay. All right. So we've got the groundwork for how this all began with
hmm
Gerald. And then, okay. So next question. So what do you really love about working with oracle cards? Is it the art? Like, do you enter, your deck selection, your deck, is it the art that draws you in first? Is it the system? Is it about reading for other people? Like,
if you're talking specifically about oracle cards, it's been recent. Oracle cards
Or
have been a
tarot.
recent for
And or
me.
tarot. I use oracle kind of generically for tarot and
Okay,
oracle.
so cards.
Cards, yeah.
Um, I am drawn in by images, and I that's what draws me in. I am fascinated by the makeup of the cards and the type of system. Most of what I have used is RWS
Mm,
influenced, uh, um, and I enjoy that. But I also like something that builds and I connect to.
mm-hmm.
It's sort of an intuitive response, Donna.
Mm-hmm.
That's really how it feels. Um, I like oracle cards because of the variety and artwork that's available.
Mm,
And
mm-hmm.
so, I mean, and I have, I have a whole bunch of different oracle cards that are that are intriguing to me. It's like this one, the Nick Bantock, the Archeo.
Mm,
I got this because I like Nick Bantock's artwork in his books, the Griffin and
okay.
Sabine series.
Okay.
And of course, surprise, they're collage. Have you seen these?
I've just seen, I know you did like a casual or something on that. And that's the first that I'd
Yeah.
seen it around. Oh.
So it's a very specific feel,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the connection between using pieces and parts. It's similar to it's sort of influenced by the Voyager Tarot. I like that the layering of all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
It's very temperance for me, and it draws me in. And I have to have an intuitive response for those because often I'm not going to read this book.
Okay.
I mean, I
You're just not a book person? Is that with Oracle or in general, or
um
you just like to kind of dive into the cards and go with them?
I want to dive into the cards, and I want the cards to lead me to a desire to do more with it. It's like, oh wow, what does this mean? This is really intriguing to me, the way this is set up, and that's what really inspires me with it.
And you want to
So
figure that out on your own. Is that sort of your natural
I
inclination?
Yeah, I'm like, I want to understand that.
Mm,
But then part of with understanding, it's like, you know what? I have to ask somebody else. I have to get somebody else's view on this, which then I will pull out a book. I'll pull out the book or I'll ask somebody else. What's really fun for me is the idea of, and I've not done this a whole lot, but the idea of using Oracle and Tarot together. I've not done a whole lot of that, but
mm.
that idea of how they can support each other is really fascinating. Really
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah, I've been starting
So,
to do that in the past year or so.
yeah.
It's kind of fun if I'm
Yeah.
watching other people do it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm always interested like how people are choose the decks they choose. Because for me it's very instinctual. It's like literally within seconds of seeing it, even if I'm seeing it on a screen or so, and it's usually it has to do with the color palette. It's just like I get a
Okay.
yes or I get a no.
Hmm.
And there's not there's not a lot of, and I can fall in love, I stay open, I've been known to be
Hmm.
swayed, but it's pretty instantaneous, and so I'm just fascinated what it is for other people.
I believe it's I get drawn in, so I may not realize that that's what I'm doing. Um it's like when I'm picking fabric for a quilt and I'm in a quilt,
Yeah.
fabric store. And I know if I've gone back to that same piece of fabric multiple times, there's something about that has drawn me to it. There's an
Mhm.
energy that pulls me. And I've heard stories of people who they are looking at crystals or stones, and they keep going back to that one crystal or that stone. And I do that in artist places where they have like people who've made pottery or things. Um, I,
Like a gallery or a
yeah,
collective or something
a
where you're looking
gallery.
at
Thank you.
artwork. Yeah.
The collective is what I was looking, the word I
Yeah.
was looking for, Donna. And I keep going back to that same artist or that same piece. And then I have to, okay, I have to sit with it. I have to turn everything down so that I can actually
Yeah.
hear what is going on between me and this piece.
Neat. Very
So
neat.
thanks.
All right, I'm going to look at the chat a little bit. We have a couple of questions here. Let's see what's going on. Uh, oh,
Yeah,
Robin made a comment a while back when you were talking about your
they cast
your
you as a
Catholic
knitting little
youth.
woman.
Snapping
Oh,
fans at Catholic youth camp. I think Robin had a little vision of you of what you used to be like
there you
at
go.
Catholic
I was not like this back
back
when I was
then,
going to Catholic camp.
back in the
No, no, no,
day.
no.
Yeah, no, no, no. It was a different time
Yes,
on a different place. And then Robin also said, I thought you were going to say that they cast you as a knitting little woman.
but wouldn't it be a cast on as a knitting little woman? Ah,
Cast on, cast off.
but
Knit
I'm
one,
cheating.
purl one.
Yeah,
Very fun. And Deb H says, creative consultant and prop master sounds like a cool gig.
it's fun. It's
Yeah,
fun.
very fun.
Oh, come on, JD. It wasn't that bad.
What's he saying? I missed his comment.
Oh, it'll be there in a
Oh, okay, there
second
it
because
is.
he likes
Okay,
the Nick Band talk, but I was just like, it's like, dang.
fun.
But the other thing is when I'm looking at oracle cards, specifically oracle cards, if an artist who I like the tarot deck has created an oracle deck,
Mm-hmm.
I will oftentimes pick up the oracle deck as well.
Okay.
So
So you're very
I would,
artist loyal,
I yes,
or
I would say
you get smitten
I
with
get
an
very
artist.
smitten.
Yeah.
It's like, I love the Santa Muerte tarot, but then there's
Yeah.
also the Santa Muerte oracle, which many people do not like. It's the same sort of artwork, same style, but it actually it continues the story of what goes on in the tarot deck, which is
Oh, interesting.
quite fascinating. And in some images, it's like in this image, there's an artist painting, and that is the sun in the tarot card.
Oh, neat. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and then there's the gimmick is when you look at the back of the card and you lay them all out, it makes a Ouija board, makes a spirit board.
Oh, huh.
So I'm all about a good gimmick. So
Very
so yeah.
fun. Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, I've seen that around, but I don't know that Oracle
Yeah,
deck.
and
And
but again, this is one a lot of people who like this don't like this.
hmm
I don't use this a whole lot because this is so good for me. And
I've heard you talk
the
about the Santa Muerte before,
yeah,
that's your ancestor deck, right?
it is my ancestor deck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's like the Line Strider Tarot.
Mm.
There's the Hedge Witch Botanical Oracle by the same artist.
Yeah, now do you have a
So
preference between those two?
I have just received these. So it's still really early for
Too
me.
new to
So
say. Okay.
yeah, too new to say. I'm going to go with that. And and it's
I'm
like this, yeah. Go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say I have the line strider tucked away because Sadhana, who I'm fond of her work and her channel, she's a big fan of that deck. And the
Mhm.
creator's last name is the same as my last name.
There you go.
So so I decided like I'm gonna give it a try. So it's tucked away waiting for me when the time is right. I mean, I'm thinking
Right.
in the spring sometime. It feels like a spring deck to me. It's so airy and kind of pastel-y. So
Yes, and I was thinking about it for heart chakra work. And I
Mm,
like it because there's a lot of space in the card. So if I'm laying them out, there would be space around each of the
yeah.
images, and that
That
just
is,
feels nice.
yeah, that's the main kind of the main reason. You watch a lot of decks and whatever, you've got the long wish list. But I finally kind of looked at it and I thought, this might be a good deck for me because I don't tend to be drawn to spacious decks because I'm collage girl. I like layers and rich
Hmm.
colors and a lot going on.
Hmm.
And I thought, well, this might be a really kind of something refreshing for me to work with a deck that's a little more spacious.
Right.
So
Robin's
fun.
like going, he's all about a good gimmick. Yeah, I doubt he could push a planchette on a Ouija board with his tiny hands.
Uh, he's egging
So,
you on. Robin is egging you
oh
on.
yeah. Well, and it's like Kim Kranz for the Wild Unknown. There's the archetypes deck. The
Yeah. Do you have the archetypes deck?
I do.
I
I've
do
used it a
too.
couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it,
And
but it's a kind of, I kind of go in and out of phases with it, right? It's sort of got a very specific use, and I haven't quite
right.
put my finger on what that is yet, but
Hmm.
yeah. But I use
Yeah.
it way more, I have to say, I use it way more than the Wild Unknown Tarot, which I've had longer,
Hmm.
and I'm
Yeah.
not sure what that's about, but I use the
Well,
archetype more.
I think with the archetype, it feels very much well, the word is in the title, archetype. It's bigger
Archetypal. Yeah,
things
yeah,
rather
yeah.
than just
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we can get that from the tarot, or we can get daily insight, but the archetype is heavier work. It's a
Mm.
glober influencing. And it's like I have the transparent tarot. I also have the transparent oracle,
Now, what is it?
which
That's not Kim Krantz, is it? I don't know that.
it is not.
Do
It's Emily
show. Show and
Carding.
tell.
It's Emily Carding.
Oh, yes. Okay, I've seen this on TarotTube.
So yeah, and so yeah, gee, can you tell I've used this?
Yeah, that's a
Because I do a lot of layering with my readings, and to actually have a transparent deck and literally you can lay
put it
the
over
images on
top,
top
right?
of them,
Yeah.
works very well. And the transparent oracle is circular, so it's a very intriguing
Oh.
thing, and being able to do both. My challenge, of course, with the oracle, I don't, I have to read it intuitively, and I don't have a lot of confidence with reading the oracles that way.
Oracles in
Um,
general? You don't?
oracles in general, and that's a me thing.
That
I don't
totally
have a lot of
surprises
kind.
me, Gerald, because I've
Oh,
seen
really?
you read and you just seem like a really intuitive reader of the
I'm
tarot. I've seen you read tarot. I don't know
yeah.
if I've seen you read Oracle.
I'm learning. I'm learning. So, but thank you. Thanks. Thanks.
That's like the opposite of me. So I am like I oracles, I love to read oracle cards. I feel like that's no problem for me because there's no one system. I just kind of have to,
Hmm.
be familiar with whatever deck I'm using, and that's
Right.
enough for me. Whereas tarot, I feel so boxed in and I just get, I feel like, oh, there's right answers, and if I don't know those right answers, the standard meaning,
Oh,
so that's what I'm
hmm,
working to overcome. And I'm
I
trying to do
understand
it
that.
through bonding with a few decks plus taking an in-depth class,
Yeah.
but so we're like kind of opposite ends of the spectrum there.
Yeah. Well, and I think for me, it's and again, I'm trying to open myself to it, because I will look at the tarot because I will see colors and symbols in tarot cards. And so if I have done a 10 card spread, I will notice I am usually drawn to a particular color that may be repeated
Hmm.
in a couple of decks, and then I will link those images. So if the color red shows up, I'm looking to see where it shows up on the card, in the card position, and how it's relating to the other cards with red in it.
Okay, interesting. Yep, that was one of my questions of how does color influence your card work as well as your artwork in general.
Yeah. I'm a
So,
huge color fan.
yeah.
I came of age in the 80s where neon was the big thing.
Okay, now how do you feel about neon? Because so did I come of age in the 80s, but I have never been a neon fan. What about you?
I have never been a neon fan either.
Thank you, Gerald. This must be the connection right here.
Yeah,
No neon for
no
these
neon.
80s babies.
Yeah, but there's that the shocking color contrasts.
Yeah.
And you have the, opposites colors next to each other,
Mm-hmm.
and it gets a crazy, crazy impact.
Hmm.
So, so yeah.
Interesting. I'm thinking of the Crow's Magic tarot deck, which I do not
hmm
have. Do you have it? Do you know it?
I do. Is that
It,
the mostly black and
yeah.
white with a little bit of red? Yeah.
But isn't that supposed to be have a very 80s flavor to it, right?
Oh, maybe I don't have the crows. Do I have the
Crow's
crows
Magic
magic?
is the one that Anna at you know who I'm talking about, you guys, from
Yes.
Holland.
hmm
She loves that
Anal
deck.
Astro
And
Lady.
Astro Lady Tarot, and so does Sylvain.
hmm
They're big fans of that deck. And so
Yeah.
I'm like curious about it because it's like this 80s deck and I'm like,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway,
But
fun.
I think it's just it's one of those things that intuitively, if I'm drawn to an image or a color in an image, then it's the yellow car syndrome. You buy a yellow car and then you
Mm,
see yellow cars everywhere.
right.
So if the color pink shows up as being important, then I'm noticing the pink in all of the cards. So, but yeah.
Neat. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
hmm
Okay, so now I asked you part one of my second big question, which was, what do you love about working with cards? So now, as an artist, what do you really love about being an artist? Is it the materials? Is it the tools? Is it the medium? Or is it color? Or like, is there, if you could point to one or two main thing, like, do you have,
It's probably the color that really gets me. I
yeah,
did
me too.
most of my paintings and drawings were landscapes or still lives where I would put colors, colored blocks and flowers and boxes next to each other. And then I would paint those and enjoy the bouncing off of the color.
Mm,
When you have a highly reflective surface that is green and you put an orange next to that, that's some very interesting play in the shadows.
yep.
And I do that it's like with my landscape quilting, color is pretty significant in the sense of, you can put complementary colors together, it has an impact. Analogous colors together, it has a different impact. And those are all really important when I want to create a visual depth or a feeling from an image.
Mm-hmm.
So so
Great.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Another thing we have in common. It's all about
yeah.
the color for me and my artwork. It's all about the
Yep.
color.
Yeah.
Texture is a close second, but it's all about the color and the
Oh
layers, of
yeah.
course.
Yeah. And my paintings were pretty painterly. So
Mm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
fun because, and when you look at some of the artists, um, the layers of paint of different colors that you put on top, when you step back, it creates a color. But
Yeah.
when you get up close, it's like, wow, there's about five different colors in that are working
Mm-hmm.
together.
Yeah.
So,
It's amazing.
yes.
Color magic.
Yes.
Let's see what's going on here in the chat, and then we're going to move on. So Robin had said, when you read tarot, one can always fall back on the system. With oracles, there's no safety net, nothing to fall back on.
It's a
It's
good
funny
point.
because, like, logically I get that, but somehow for me it's the opposite. I feel safer with oracle reading.
Mm,
Um, and then Jedak is saying 1980s neon was all about California pop culture. Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
pink and yellow and slime green.
Slime green,
Yep.
lovely.
Yeah.
And Deb is saying she came of age in the 70s, so it was more psychedelic. Yeah, see, I'm much more drawn to 60s and 70s art
Hmm.
and pop culture kind of things.
Yeah.
So, and JD is saying I'd take orange and brown and turquoise and fringe and
And
macrame
macrame.
homemade over neon every day. Yep, that's pretty much what I'm saying. Give me the 60s and 70s.
I mean,
We're good.
sometimes a little bit of neon as a pop of color is
Hmm.
fun.
Yeah.
A simple line of a neon is great because it adds an accent, so it
Each
works.
to his own. Each to
Yes,
his own.
there's enough colors for everybody
That's
to like some
right.
colors.
That's right. And Crayola is still making colors. God love them. So
Yes,
that's
they
good.
keep changing names too.
I know. I know. Okay, so moving along to my next question here. So, what is one of your go-to ways for keeping art or divination as part of your, either daily or weekly or kind of, regular life, work, practice?
I will either do a weekly draw or a daily draw. A lot of times I am feeling drawn to a particular deck, so I'll spend some time with it. In 2020, the hashtag gratitude challenge 2020 or
Ah, yeah, yeah.
2021 from Jen Science to Soul Tarot and Transformation. I think I did that for about 36 weeks.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So I did that, and it's a great way to get to learn a deck, just to play
Hmm.
with and to do that. Um, the other thing that I like to do is on occasion I will rotate the artwork around my house so that I get to see it in new light
Hmm.
and next to something new. It's just fun that way.
Yeah, that is
It's
a
just
really
fun that way.
fun
And
thing to do.
I'm fortunate that I have a group of friends. We're studying the Spirit Keepers Tarot, the Revelations edition.
Mm.
So once a week we're getting together and each week we're looking at three different cards, and so we have a conversation about them. So
Very fun. Oh, how
yeah.
nice to have a group of local people that you can
Oh, we're not
get
local.
together. Oh, okay,
We're
get
doing it
together
via
online.
Zoom. Yeah, we
Nice.
can get together
Nice.
online
Well,
and do it.
that too, to have a,
Yeah.
a circle or
Hmm.
oracular circle. That's
Yep.
fabulous. Okay. So working with, okay, so my another question I have is, how does working with oracle cards feed your creativity? And same thing for art making. Like, does art making feed your intuitive and your oracular abilities, and how do they kind of weave and mix together? Have you found over the years?
Um, I'm going to delay answering by taking a sip.
Have a sip. I'll look at the chat. Let's see what's happening.
I think for me, actually making art, I will. It's a sometimes it's a slow build, and then it gets to a certain point where then I will have to stick with what I was doing. Everything else will drop away, and I need to finish this piece.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that's just a deadline or a feeling is really important. It's I work well within a structure and knowing how to uh, I like to push the edges of the structure as best as I can.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So it's like when I'm doing an art quilt, I'll pull out a lot of colors that I think will work, and then I'll pick out some colors that I don't think I will work, and then I will put all of the things away and then force myself to focus on what I have pulled out rather than being overwhelmed with too many options.
Mm. I
So,
know that feeling. And when you, with collage, I start with whole lot of pieces, and then, they just, you move them around, you got your own
yeah.
process, and then at some point you realize like, okay, these are staying and the rest needs to get off the table because, can't even see straight, need room to cut and glue
Yeah.
and work and yeah.
And I
But that
still,
that's fun, that initial process, right? Of just like just
yeah.
pulling anybody that seems to say, "Hey, what about me?"
Yeah, I mean, and you're right. It is a lot of fun. I do get overwhelmed, and that's where a lot of times when I get stuck in creating in art creation, it's because I don't have I don't have a clean surface to upon which to work. It's
Mhm.
just too much. There's just too much, and I think Joseph Cornell. Are you familiar with him?
I know the
Joseph
name,
Cornell.
but I'm not
Okay,
I can't see his work on my
he's
head.
a three-dimensional and collage artist, and he uh, a lot of his pieces are, well, they're collage, and he had boxes and boxes of things for his artwork. And when he was done working for the day, all of that stuff went back in the boxes and went back away. So the last thing he did when he was working was is to clear the surface so that when he came in the next time, all he had to see was the
Mm,
artwork rather than all of the stuff around it.
yeah, that's
So
brilliant.
yeah, and there's
Brilliant.
some beautiful magic happens when I want you to create something, but I'm only giving you 5 colors of paint. So,
Yeah.
so,
I lead a color exercise like that when I teach my collage workshops, and that's one of the first exercises we do. A big table of colored pieces of paper, and I say, choose five. Just choose
hmm
five. Start there and
yeah,
see what comes. It's a great
hmm
way to start. Yeah,
yeah.
cool. All right, let me check the chat here. Robin has a question for you, Gerald. How are you feeling about the Spectro World Tarot? It's not exactly neon, but pretty darn close. I don't know that tarot. Oh,
Uh,
he's reaching.
I'm reaching for it. I've not worked a whole lot with it. I wouldn't say it's, yeah, I mean, Robin's right. It's very colorful,
Oh,
and I am enjoying it because color sensit the color sensibility is it works.
those
So,
black borders really work.
and yeah, and that's the time where I was good with the black border, and there's the back.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I got this because Robin was talking about it on his YouTube, and Robin and I will probably do a deck casual about this sometime.
Fun.
It's the Spectro Whirl.
Hand
Not
painted.
for everybody.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's not really neon to me.
hmm
That's not really
yeah,
neon, but bright and saturated. Very fun.
yes.
Hello, Joan Barrett. She's here. She's listening,
Hey,
but
Joan.
she's not in chat. And let's see. Oh, and Little Zen Crone is here. Hello,
Hi, Jilly.
welcome. Hey, Jilly. Welcome. And a couple more comments from JD. The paradox of imposing limitations on oneself and how it can spark creativity. Yeah,
Yep.
that's a good reminder, right? When we
Yeah.
get overwhelmed or whatever, it's just give yourself a really limited kind of exercise or project and start there. Can really get you going.
It's so true because and I've said this to Jeffrey as we're pulling out fabrics for quilts. Um I have too many out or I'm stuck. I will say, wait a minute. what
Yeah.
okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed, and I'm better now at knowing that that's what I'm feeling when I'm stuck. And so I go away and then I think about, okay, what is it that I want? How do I want this quilt to feel? What's the what range of colors do I want? Then I have to put my left brain on and go, let's talk about a color scheme. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and okay, so I want a split complementary color scheme. I need to remember that. And so everything that's not participating in that needs
Goes
to be
bye-bye.
removed. Yeah. Yeah, because and by the way, you give me a limit and I'm going to see how far I can push it.
Yeah. Well, that's classic artist right there.
Yes.
Riding the
Yes.
riding the edge of everything. Yeah.
Hmm.
Deb just said, I think she's talking about that last deck you just held up. Feels like Willy Wonka.
It does.
Feels like Willy Wonka.
Does.
Um, and it would be good for a person who is young at heart.
I would agree with you. Or
So
somebody who
fun.
needs to be young at heart.
Needs to reconnect with being young at heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
Very
and
true.
that's what I love about all these decks and working with Oracle and Tarot, right? I entered through the artwork. I just got drawn in. I was just kind of
Hmm.
interested, but never got around to really studying tarot. I dove into Oracle because I could learn that sort of deck by deck, and I didn't feel like
Hmm.
I had this big ancient system to master. But it was always the art that I and the colors that brought me to a deck.
Hmm.
And anyway, I lost my train of thought there, but
Oh, I get it. I
that's
mean,
what I love about it.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see, we're still in question 4. So you talked about how working with cards feeds your creativity. And you didn't really say, did you say anything about how uh, art making feeds your intuitive and your oracle practice, your tarot practice? Or do you find, or are they kind of like apples and oranges? Are they sort of
Well,
separate
they're
things
both
for you?
fruit. They're both fruit. And I think what happens for me is when I am working on my visual art or my quilting, whatever, I have a tendency uh, to be more open, and vice
Mm,
versa. If I've
mm-hmm,
been doing readings for people and then I look at a quilting project or or a knitting project, those muscles feel very connected to me,
mm,
and
nice.
so I hope that helps. Except when they
Yeah,
don't,
except when they,
because
right, someday,
yeah,
right. Yeah.
some days they don't.
I've found what the way I kind of blend the two is I keep some certain decks, just a few, like 5 or 6 decks in my studios in my basement. I just have, a little setup in my basement and my main, I call it my bench, where I
Hmm.
work. I keep some decks right kind of front and center. And so when I go and start to
That's
work,
nice.
pull a card. So that's how I'm kind of
Do you
weaving it in that
find
way.
do you find that the deck you use influences the resulting artwork?
No, I haven't yet
Okay.
so much. And I really, I kind of pull from the same one deck
Okay.
really over and over, even though I have a couple others down there. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's just to sort of jumpstart me and get just a little something.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I will
Very
offer
much
that.
so.
Oh, and so, okay, this is a little add-on. This was not on your list of questions, but it is
Ooh.
under question 4. Thought of it this morning.
Okay.
So you also seem to have a lot of fun on your YouTube lives, right? It seems
Hmm.
like it's a really creative process for you. And I was just wondering what you're finding with that. Like, how is that feeding your card work and your
I'm
anything
finding that it
else?
works very well.
And it's
I,
feeding your prop closet very nicely.
it's feeding my actually. Um, laughter is such a powerful tool,
Yeah,
and it just
absolutely.
lightens it. Connection is also a powerful tool for me. So, somebody like you reaching out to me and you want me to interview me, that makes me feel good. And it makes me have that sense of belonging and that sense of community, and that I have something to offer and I could learn something from other people. Because it's like, and the deck casuals, it's like when we did our
Mm,
the Voyager Tarot, things that you said are influencing my understanding of that image, because it's a fair and open exchange. It's like,
yeah.
wow, I hadn't seen it like that. And I love that. I really do.
It's such a great series. I love, yeah, it is a really good way to learn about
Hmm.
decks together in community like that. And then when you do the
Yeah.
3 and 4 way conversations, it's gets really rich. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Love this community.
Hmm.
It's been fabulous to dive in and see what's going on here with everybody. Okay, last question, and then we're gonna pull some cards together.
Oh, is it the
Um,
last question? Okay.
is it? Did I skip one? I'm
I
on
don't know.
five.
I'm just like,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm on question five. So, color. We're back to color, and we've been talking about color throughout. But so, how about how do you work with color? Specifically. Well, you talked about it in your tarot readings.
Hmm.
Do you find, so I guess I'll modify it a little bit. Do you find color is as important when you read oracle cards? And do you ever just read oracle cards, Jared? Tell
Yeah.
us a little bit more about
Yeah.
that practice.
Well, I've gotten a couple of oracle cards, like Orshi's building relationships,
Mm-hmm.
Zane's interconnection oracle, his Tokwitch oracle, and then the zombie oracle. Those are the ones that I've been using a lot now, and I'm just going to pull out like the interconnection oracle. It's like, okay, that's a lot of purple.
Ah, amethyst, right?
Yep.
Mm,
And I'm not even looking at these. And so, and then okay, so if I were to put these two next to each other, they're a bit of contrasting colors. And
mm-hmm.
so, but then there's just simple, we have healing energy, and then here we have breeze. So what does that say? How do they interact? And so for me, a lot of times it's about that interaction of the colors.
Mm,
Um, so,
nice.
so yeah,
Very
very much
fun.
so.
Yeah.
So, um, and fortunately, like the ones that I have here they don't have a whole lot of language on them, because if I'm reading intuitively, I can't handle too
So that's a
much.
preference for you. You like just a word or 2 words or a little
Yeah,
phrase. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I would agree with that.
you
I
know,
think I don't like a lot of words on my, I mean,
you
I
know,
like words. I'm not opposed to words on either,
yeah.
but
But like forward momentum, there you go. I mean,
right.
it's
Yeah.
just the side of a boat, and gee, what is the next card? Okay, you have forward momentum and curiosity, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe you're actually going to the island where this little bear lives, and so there's that storytelling that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
um, and when you're talking about color, I've recently gotten this deck, the
Yeah.
Sacred Creators, and I am expecting Chris Ann has done a whole lot of attention on the color of the cards
Mm-hmm.
to help convey that. Oh my gosh, that reminds me. I bought years ago when I was in um, Chicago at the Contemporary Museum of Art. I bought like 50 or 100 postcards. They were what is the color coding system that a Pantone color
Pantone.
coding
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah.
And so I bought that because I thought it was great. I like the idea of um I like the idea of putting things into a color range. So I will also do that. Is okay, how would I lay these cards out visually to for that the spectrum?
Hmm.
And when I am attending a meeting, I doubt that I will see anybody here in a visual, in an actual physical meeting. But when I'm bored, I will actually look around the room and I will put people in order by the color of their shirt they're wearing just to keep me occupied.
That is funny. See, I often notice, when I'm in groups or whatever, like I sang a choir for years, right? And it was
Hmm.
always fascinating to me to show up on a Sunday morning and like, who's wearing the same color, you know, either
Yep.
top or just sort of in general. And then I would just kind of play all these scenarios in my head of like, oh, I wonder how these, they're going to blend today or not blend today. And then when
Yeah.
people would notice and be like, oh, look, Donna, we're wearing the same, that was like the ultimate, like, yeah, yeah, we're on the same color ray. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Right.
So,
Well, and I think the Seasons of the Witch Oracle series that are coming out. By the way, hashtag know your limits, hashtag purchase responsibly. But the Seasons of the Witch Oracle, Jeffrey just got me the Beltane one, and what I am appreciating about this, and I do have a point with the color, is because each of these sabbats have a color sense to them,
mm-hmm.
and the fact that the artist is keeping that in mind and using that to help focus the energy. It's like, okay, these are colors that I would could see around Beltane. So so anyhow, I'm not trying to
Fun.
sell cards.
But you'd be
So
really good at it. You would be really good at it. Um, well, I think you've answered all my questions. Anything else, Gerald? And I'll check the chat again here, but like
did you want
anything
me to
else?
show you any examples of work?
Absolutely, I do.
Okay. Do people in chat want to see any examples of work? Some of them they've seen. See, I'm forcing people to type in the
People
chat.
in chat, come on. All right, so let me catch us up to so Little Zen Crone, Jilly's saying, I'm digging the low-key vibe of this chat. Nice with a
Mm-hmm.
glass of wine on a Friday. Thanks,
Very
Jilly.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
And Robin replied, it's fun to play with a balance of laughter and seriousness. I don't think it's too healthy to get overwhelmed by either extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. Amen. When we can do it, right?
Yep.
And who else? It looks like Kristen Louise is here. Hi,
Hi, Kristen.
Kristen. And yeah, great images on the Oracle, the one with the photographs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was Zane Stack, right? That you were just showing. Yeah, those
Yes.
were beautiful images.
Yes. So recently taught a a color theory class
Mm.
for quilt for at a quilt festival last year, and because many times, like with knitting, people will want to knit that sweater exactly the way it was done in the pattern,
Mm.
and more often than not, those colors or that yarn has been discontinued.
Right.
So I was actually really good when I worked at the yarn shop. At I was very good at helping people pick colors, and I did teach a color theory class there too. So, um, so I was teaching a art quilting class there too, where, for instance, how do you take this and
Mm.
turn it into a quilt? And the answer is this is the start of something. This is an example of what it
Ah,
would look like starting from the background, because you have this,
yeah, at the sunset.
and then you have you layer it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some of that, and then here's a more finished one. Here's a more finished version of that.
Oh,
So I
look
think
at that sky. Oh,
I think you can see, you
yeah,
know, that
absolutely.
that works pretty well.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Are
And
there
it's
are there
fun.
buildings? What's on the horizon there? Like, just want to see what you did with.
Well, what I did was is because I was trying to right here, there are
Oh, you were trying to
trees.
mimic the trees. Yeah.
I was trying to give the impression of the trees. And
Mm,
so if you were to get closer up, you could see that what I was doing was is I was actually cutting the fabric and then using thread work on top
yeah.
of it to do because when you're I mean that's the fascinating thing about a quilt like this is you get a lot of when you look up close, but when you look back, you know what it
Right.
is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
so I had that one and then I'm trying to go fast. And then you have like this. This is one of the that's a different feel.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is what that
Oh,
one
look
looks
at
like.
that. Yeah.
And what's great fun is these mountains are actually fabric of that are clouds. And I've just folded it and manipulated it.
Oh, neat. Yeah.
So, and
Beautiful.
cute. And like this one, I'm trying to go faster. Like
No,
this one.
your fan base is saying show us, so no.
So
Ah,
there's
beautiful. Reflection on
this
the
one.
water.
Yeah. And then, this is the work in progress. And
Mm,
I had to do the work in progress because it was an art quilting technique class and I needed to because I actually had to stop working on it even though I wanted to finish it so people could see the process of how it was done.
right, right, right. Yeah.
Trust me, I was like going, "Ooh, okay, I'll stop." So, but then you
Really
have,
fun.
you have just
Lots of,
folded
yeah, yeah.
fabric, pleated fabric, and ripped fabric. It's just fun. And but I think Jilly is here, and this is the one that I think I showed on her channel, and this
Mm,
was the first one that I did. So
mm. Look at that perspective of the mountains.
yeah, and this is for my brother-in-law, and it's the fun thing is like when you're talking about color, I do try to some of the thread work. I don't know if you can see. I'm trying to find a really good spot. It's like there's different colors of thread in
Mm,
there.
mm-hmm. I see yellow, white, some blue,
hmm And
dark.
when you get close, you can see that, but when you're farther away, you don't necessarily see that. It's just like with painting.
Mm,
So, but you can really see it on the back.
right.
That was a bonus. I didn't
Oh,
expect that to
look
happen.
at that back. Wow.
It was fun. So it looks like neon.
Really
So
gorgeous.
thanks.
So, Gerald, I have to tell you, I come from a long line of quilters. I don't know if you know that
Oh, do
about me.
you?
So we
Okay.
have that in
No.
common as well.
Wow.
My mom was a quilter. Both of my sisters are wonderful quilters. My grandmothers, antique quilts came down through the family, all of that. So I have a
Wow.
deep appreciation. I am not a quilter. I chose to be a knitter instead, but I have a deep
hmm
love for
And you
quilting.
know I'm a knitter too.
I do. I know. This
Okay.
is like
So
all these things.
yeah.
All these things.
And I keep staring at the first quilt that I ever made, and I'm going to pull it because it's just on the other
Yeah,
side
show us.
because it tells you my color sense because color is really important just in life. I mean, we have a sensibility to it. So
Yeah.
I'm going to step away for a moment. You can
And
still hear me.
I'll look at the chat while Gerald's doing that. I've got all kinds of chatting going on here. Great images on, okay, we said that. Oh, this is a full-size quilt.
This is a good lap quilt, and it's just a quilt that you piece together, and you're supposed to use 2.5-inch strips. And well, I didn't find 2.5 inch strip set that I liked, and so I just picked fabrics that I enjoyed. And then I was like, going, that would be really fun with, I like this green with that, and I like this other
Mm,
color in like the back. I love
love
this
that.
combination, and you got to have that. And well, I thought there's no reason that the back of a quilt shouldn't be as exciting as the front.
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
but and I'm a little crazy because this is supposed to be 2.5 inch strips of fabric. And I thought, that's cool, but wouldn't it be fun to make them 2.5 inch squares? And then wouldn't it be fun to make some of those 2.5 inch squares into a 4 patch? So what you have is me sewing all sorts of things, but then you can see right here, there's a little 4 patch
Oh, okay.
of
I see
different
it
colors.
now.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Making it up
Why
as you
would
go
I
along. Very
making it up?
collagey. It's
Very
very
collagey.
collagey.
And I didn't know what I was supposed to do with it. I didn't know what you weren't allowed to do with the
Mm,
quilting. And I think that also helps with
it does help.
tarot reading, especially with oracles. If you
Yeah.
don't know what you're supposed to do
We're supposed to know.
or supposed to know, the sky's the limit. It is
Yeah.
like a mosaic. So,
Good advice. Maybe I need to forget some of what I already sort of kind of know
yeah, yeah,
and keep going. Let's see what's going on here. We've got Backyard Naturalist Tarot. Hello, welcome. I don't.
that is Laura. Hi,
Oh,
Laura.
hey, Laura. She's enjoying your quilts and the line work. The line work with the threading is just amazing. That was some amazing line work there. Yeah, and double-sided art. Quilting is like double-sided art and very mosaic is what
Yeah.
Jonathan's saying.
Hmm.
Nice. Excellent.
Yeah. Pointillism.
So, should we pull some cards? I just feel like
Yes.
Gerald showed us some decks, but we have to get our hands on some cards before we go. What
And
did you bring?
Donna, if people want to, if they think they would be good to do this, how do they contact you?
Well, Gerald, thank you for pointing that out. So they can, I guess they can you can email me. So
Hmm.
my email is healinginteriors@gmail.com. Reach out to me. Yeah. And you can leave a comment under this video with your email, and I will get back in touch with you. Because, yeah, I really want to have conversations with people and expand upon this topic.
Yeah, I mean, because oftentimes people seem to think they need to separate being an artist
Mm,
and being a reader or an oracle, and they're often one and the same.
yeah, absolutely.
So
And
I'm hoping, go ahead.
we tend to have characteristics in common, people that walk the spiritual path, people walk the artistic path, and I want to talk more about that as well,
Hmm. Yeah.
lifestyle things and how we look after ourselves.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
any of those. So the questions may increase and expand as we go along.
I love that. And I had the questions a good week ahead of time. So it's all good.
Yeah, so you'll have plenty of time
It's all good.
to prepare. Okay, so what other, do you have
Robin,
another?
Robin,
Okay, I don't
maybe
want to know.
Jilly, you know, couple of people who might be good to chat
Oh,
with.
oh, okay. I thought you were saying you'd been
Yeah.
interviewed with not enough lead time by people.
No, no, no. Just and like Zane, Tarot
Yeah,
Token Witchery.
would love to talk to you
So
guys. It'd be really fun. Okay, what deck did you gonna use one of the decks you already showed us? Did you bring another deck?
I'm going to use one of the decks that I already showed you. It's the Interconnection Oracle.
Nice.
Straightforward images and but with color. What are you going to use?
Well, I brought along my Dusta Onyx to show Gerald because I had
Uh,
mentioned this recently and it sounded like you don't have. Do
I
you
do not
know?
have this.
Okay, this deck, as a collage artist,
Mhm.
I'll show a few. You've probably seen it that way, Gerald.
I haven't seen a whole lot of it. No, but I've heard people talking
Yeah.
about it.
How do okay, hold it straight. I'm just so this lives in my studio. I've interviewed this deck. I must
Hmm.
have done at least I've done maybe a reading with it, but I'm just so in awe of the artwork that I
Right.
don't it's like an art piece to me. And I keep it in my studio to inspire me and I take it out and I flip through it. But
I think that's
I
great.
mean just oh, all
That's
these
amazing. Those
images.
are amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, there it is. There's
Yay.
some yummies there. Okay. So what are we doing? We're pulling cards? Are we
Are we pulling cards for people in the
I
chat
don't know.
or
I've never
do
done this. I've
collective or
never. So let me mix up my
well,
deck. I had it separated.
does anybody in the chat want a reading with what we've got? I'll just throw that out there and if you don't want to do that, Donna, because some people don't like reading for others.
I will let you go first and we'll see how it goes because this is not
Okay.
a deck I'm so comfortable with, but I would pick a card and just throw it into the mix and see. So who would
Okay.
like a reading? We've got a few more minutes. Are you good for time, Gerald? We're
Oh yeah. Yep.
after 6 here.
Yeah. Oh, come
What's
on. You've
Deb
been on my channel,
saying?
Donna. You know I can go for
I know you can,
hours.
but you've been a busy live streamer today. I don't want to assume that you
No, no, no. It's good.
it's getting to be dinner time here on the East Coast. So
Yes.
Deb H is saying my mom was a knitter and my dad was a quilter. Oh, I know how to
Hmm.
quilt, but knitting is beyond me. See, I feel the
Yeah.
opposite way, Deb. I'm like, I can knit. Well, I purposely chose knitting because my mom was a knitter too. But
Uh-huh.
my sisters kind of they didn't really knit or crochet or anything.
Hmm.
So I was like, I'm going to do that. I needed my own thing. I didn't want to get into
Right.
the sewing mix in the household. It was a little intense.
Hmm. Well, how about
Okay.
we,
Should we do a
I don't see,
collective?
yeah, let's do a
No one's
collective.
coming forward.
It's okay. I mean, like you
Okay.
said, it's dinner time. People are
Yeah.
fixing dinner. So
Okay, how do you do your collective readings? You do one card, you do couple.
I like to do 3 cards, and the reason I do 3 cards is I think there's context is important. The
Mm-hmm.
cards playing next to each other. So I've separated the interconnection oracle into 3 piles. I have not looked at them. Um, I have to text Jeffrey.
Okay, I'm gonna do, it's funny, I'm more of like pick by hand, but I'm gonna separate into 3 piles and let's see what we get here.
Okay. Now I've not looked at these, so literally when I am looking, it's going to be okay. What do we got? So first card that we have is Journey.
Hmm.
The next card we have is Imagination. Imagination. She's a little fairy. And then the last card that we have is
Ah,
Healing
there it is
Energy.
again.
So I know you're taking Sadhana's class, right?
Yeah,
And
Tarot
it's not the
Foundations.
read with yeah, it's his Tarot Foundations. So if I were to look at these, Journey, Imagination, and Healing Energy, I think it's time for all of us to get out of where we've been stuck,
Hmm.
be willing to have the imagination to look at what might be caging you because she's holding a little cage.
Hmm.
And what can you do to provide yourself some healing energy around that? Could be wearing a particular color that you like, could be uh, amethyst or a particular stone or something like that. So So
Yum.
yeah.
Very yummy.
So what'd you get? Now I'm curious.
All right, help me put this together.
Mm-hmm.
So I got 7 of the major arcana, which is called the Rider in this deck,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and 4 of Blades.
Mm-hmm.
Get that where everybody can see. So that's 4 of Swords.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Justice card.
Okay. Can you connect those together?
No, I can't. I need help.
Okay, so your
What are you
first
getting?
card was what?
First
Just
card was the Four of Blades.
four of
Oops,
blades.
Four of
No,
Blades.
was that your first card or was that your last card?
Justice was last, I think, wasn't it?
Okay. Four of blades, and one was called what? The Traveler? What one was called the
The
Traveler?
Rider,
The Rider.
which is that's the Chariot, right? Oh, Journey, look at that. So we got
Look
that
at
going on
that.
together.
So,
Yeah.
okay, so you have the Four of Blades, the Chariot or the Rider, and then Justice. Well, Four of Blades, what do you see in that?
What do I see? Let me put it up so I can actually, so I can actually see it. We got 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing some work there.
Is it just me or do they not look happy?
They're kind of, they're really faceless, really.
Okay. Okay. Heads down. Are their heads down?
Yeah, heads down,
Yeah.
working away.
Yeah. So, and then the Rider.
Here's the Rider.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's Justice. Here's the Rider. Here it is.
No, that's the Four of Blades.
That's the Four Blades. Wait,
The Rider is in your left hand. Is that,
coming
yeah.
forward, coming forward.
Yeah.
Well, he looks in his power. So we've got the contrast, right, between the Blades and the Rider.
Yeah.
Like this guy's really, or actually it's a
Looking
woman.
up
Yeah,
and,
yep,
standing tall, whereas in the Four, there was a bit of a shrug in the shoulders, perhaps.
yep. And then we've got,
And,
Justice.
mm-hmm.
So finding some balance maybe between these two.
And I actually think, yeah, and I think with justice, that can oftentimes be healing when use your work towards justice. That can be extremely healing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
but, and I also think that when the Four of Blades, imagination is something that could be something we don't know what's going on in their imagination. Maybe they're fantasizing about being out in the green grass and being fairies and flitting around things. So, bit of a stretch perhaps, but hey,
Yeah. Well, fun. Yes, it was a stretch for me to use this deck that I know probably least well of many. So, but anyway, I wanted to share it with you and with everybody because
I love that.
I just love the art on this deck.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Wow.
our chat is quiet. Deb is talking about the rider matches the chartreuse microbus.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
see. Let's see that.
This one?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Good
Yep.
catch. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so we have a little color play there.
Yeah.
A little color play there. And these both
Love
have
it.
pops of blue in them, which is kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. You have
Wonderful.
been a wonderful host. So anybody who watches this, you may want to consider contacting Donna
Yeah,
for an
be in touch,
interview.
everybody. Or I will be
Yeah,
also reaching out to people to see who
excellent.
would like to come on and chat. So
Wonderful.
Well,
Yay!
thank you so much, Gerald. Really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
I appreciate being invited.
And thanks to
So,
everybody in the chat and everyone who will watch this afterwards.
hmm
Feel free to leave comments and let us know your thoughts on the topic.
yeah. So,
Okay, everyone. So take
thank
care.
you. All right.
And now I will attempt to end the broadcast. And thanks for coming to my very first live and for Gerald for showing me the ropes.
Yay! And you did very well. So, thank you.
Okay, everybody. We'll see you again. Take care.